When I think of Greece, I think of my grandmother and the fun my sister and I have with her. My grandmother lives in Petrina, a small village outside of the city of Sparti, for a few months of the year. When we visit Greece, we really love to spend majority of our time with her in the village. There is something about my grandmother that just makes you want to not leave her. Summer's here, Greece, here I come. The 16 hours of travel time eventually passes and the big smile is on my face when I land. The minute I walk out into the fresh air, I know that my summer is here. I then panic because I remember that the car rental is stick shift and I'm afraid of the lunatic drivers on the road. As always, I take a few deep breaths to begin to ease my mind into the drive. Athens is not my favorite place, and I try to leave as fast as I can. I guess I don't care for it because I've done the whole Acropolis and Parthenon visit. Don't get me wrong, it's an incredible sight to see. The Parthenon was built over 2,000 years ago on what was known as the Sacred Rock, the Acropolis. I almost forgot my favorite is the Theater of Atticus, right next to the Acropolis. The very first dramas were performed there. It was built when the Romans were in Greece. It is an amazing sight to see. I have to say though, after seeing it in the blistering August heat, I find no desire to stay in Athens for too long. The ride home from Athens to my grandmother's home is always the same too. 2 hours into the ride, I arrive to Corinth Isthmus. This is a long bridge that connects the Panoutsos Peninsula with the rest of the mainland. My grandmother says that a long time ago there was an earthquake that separated the land, and that is why the bridge was created. I finally reached Sparti on the 3rd hour of my drive. Sparti makes me even happier because I know now that I'm only 25 minutes away from my grandmother, and I know that she's impatiently awaiting my arrival. I can't wait to see her. I hope I make the uphill turn in the village without rolling back. When I finally make it, my grandmother is on the deck waiting and comes down the steep path from the house to meet me. My grandmother has my room ready and food is waiting. We catch up for a few hours while my eyelids are closing, and eventually I make it to bed. It always takes a while for me to get used to all the loud music and chatter from the restaurants nearby during the night. The part I never get used to is the howling dogs and the morning sounds of the neighbor's chickens screaming. Morning is surely here when I hear the neighbor scream to my grandmother as she is feeding the chickens. The rest of my summer follows the same routine: wake up, beach or day trip, sleep, and evening walk. My grandmother's favorite is the day trip. The day trip is always planned by her, and it's usually visiting some monastery in southern Greece or a friend she once knew. My favorite place we visit is the monastery Panagia Elona, which is located on the Arcadia mountainside. It is breathtaking to see this church built in the middle of this mountain. I will admit I almost lose my breath trying to get there with the twists and curves of the one-lane, very narrow street. This monastery is very well known for its miracles. People come from all over the world to give an offering of money or jewelry for prayers of ill family members. And then there's always the other day trips she plans. She begins by telling us the night before that she had a friend in Chicago that was from a village in Arachova. She finds it on the map and says we are going to find her friend from 20 years ago. We can always count on a good old traffic jam traveling through the villages. Those are always entertaining because my sister tells my grandmother that she's considering marrying a sheep herder, and then we all start laughing. The best is when we finally arrived in the town and she does not know her friend's last name or phone number. The search begins by asking people if they know a woman named Eleni whose father used to film movies and play them from his car and on a wall in the village. Eventually, one of the store owners knows exactly who she is talking about and makes a quick phone call. They tell us landmarks through the village to get to Eleni's house, and surprised she has found her old friend. Only my grandmother can get away with this. Every trip always involves the same family visits in nearby villages. There is never a dull moment. Every once in a while, my cousins will come down and plan a going out extravaganzas to save us from village life. All in all, my trip to Greece would be nothing without my grandmother, the fun we have with her.